Hello, everybody. How you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzondo. Welcome to episode 97 of the award-winning, hard-hitting, best podcast in the universe called the Affiliate Party Podcast. Now, today we are going to talk about collecting email names. It's been the last couple weeks. I've gotten a few more emails, a few more people added to my email list, but I've also got a couple of fake emails, and some people get upset when they get like fake emails. Or I have two email lists. One email list is Get Response, and on Get Response I just get name and email. Which when you do Get Response or an email like that, you really don't need a telephone number. Now I'm an affiliate for a company called the Conversion Pros. I'm sure I've discussed that before, but in the Conversion Pros, I get on the fill out form, I have name, email address, and telephone number. And the reason why I have the telephone number for that program is because they give people a 2-week trial. So you have 2 weeks from the time you sign up, and it's free. And if you get a telephone number from the people, then you could call them and you could say, hey, watch these videos, and you can send them the video through the text. And then if they have questions in those 2 weeks, if you help them get started with momentum, of course, some people, if they see results in the first week or two, then they get more excited and they'll keep going. Because a lot of people, they'll just quit and like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. And I mean, a lot of people, they'll just sign up for the trial, and then 2 weeks go by and nothing happens. They don't do anything. So this is why you want to get the telephone number, because you want to be in contact with the people. One thing about affiliate marketing is marketing in general is you don't have to call the people every day, every night of the hour, but every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days, you might want to check in on them and say, hey, have you been watching the videos? Have you been doing this? Have you been doing that? And you just might want to encourage the people. Or if you call them and they don't answer the phone or whatever after a couple of times, then, after a while, it's like, all right, I'll help you out, which helping people out is not a big deal. But, you can't sit there and hold their hand. And, if you're making $1,000 and they're not making anything, then it's like, come on now, I can't. But and people get offended if they're like, oh, I got a fake number or whatever. If you got a fake number from somebody, then clearly they just want to kick tires and don't even waste your time if they give you a fake number, if they give you a fake email address. The point of this segment is don't get offended when you get fake numbers, because you will get fake numbers, you will get fake email addresses, hell, you'll get fake names. It's just part of the game, You might sign up. You might have 1 million people in your email list, and maybe 1,000 gave you a bad email address. All you do is eventually you'll catch on to who's opening the emails and what email address seems like a fake, and then you'll just delete them and you'll just move on. So don't get offended. Don't take it personal. This is business. Don't get into your personal feelings when people say no, or people turn you down about different things, different products. It's never personal. It's just some people think they want to do this, and then some people get into it and then they realize they don't want to do it. And a lot of times, of course, even though technology is great, the communication for human beings is not as upfront as it used to be. It's a lot of more, it's just like if people want to borrow money from you, do they really call you anymore, or do they text you about the money? You know what I mean? It's not like in the 80s where you had to get on the phone and say, hey, can I borrow $20? Or you see somebody in person, you go, hey, can I borrow $20? They normally text you. Like I had a cousin, God rest his soul. He owed me. He passed away this year. I probably talked about him on the podcast before. He's one of my best friends, but I remember that I remember one time he texted me at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's a dead giveaway when somebody wants something. He texted me at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then he said, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, we never ask each other how we're doing. We just call each other on the phone and say, you know, what's going on with your champ and all this. And so he texted me about the money he wanted to borrow. I mean, he never paid me back, but you know, whatever. But yeah, the communication is kind of low. That's the reason why I know we talked about this before, but that's the reason why if you can get a phone number, get a phone number so you can get people on the phone, because a lot of times if people don't know you and you're texting them, then you might be being funny, but people read things the wrong way, you know. And if you get them on the telephone, or you know, the voice is different than the text message, you know, because you can tell when somebody's joking around in the voice and everything like that, but you really can't unless you know the person, you know what I mean? Like me and my cousin, I have a cousin, I consider him a little brother, but I mean, we grew up together, so it's you know, 18, 19 years of, I know the guy, so I know when he's joking around, so text message with him is not a problem. But if I text message you, if somebody signs to my email list and I just start texting them jokes, they're not gonna, they might not get that, they might get offended, you know. So this is why in certain programs, if you can, get on the telephone so you can help them out, and it'll save you a lot of time, as I've stated, you know, in the past. All right, but don't get offended. Don't take offense. I mean, it's business. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody doesn't want to give you their telephone number, then just kind of, you know, I'm not saying move on, but if you have an opt-in form, it depends on the program that you are part of, that you want to be an affiliate for. Some you don't need a telephone number. Some you might want to get a telephone number because you can save time and get stuff done faster, but it just depends. And don't like I said, don't get offended by a fake number. Don't get offended by a fake email address. It's not a big deal. People are gonna come, people are gonna go in these in this online stuff. So you know, just don't get offended, and don't get offended with people because I had this happen to me. I called somebody, you know, to do a, you know, they wanted me to call them, so I called them, talking, and it was like 5 minutes, and they hung up. And at first I thought, did the phone, I wasn't in a bad reception. I was sitting down, you know, and I'm like, damn, did my phone cut off? And I looked down, and then I called back, and it went straight to voicemail. And then I called again, and it went to voicemail again. And then I texted the person. I said, did you hang up on me? And then they just text back and they said, not interested. And I said, oh, you could have just said that on the phone. So that's what I mean when I talk about communication and everything like that. I mean, people just don't know how to say no. You know, it's like, you could just say no. It's not a big deal, because you have to have this mentality. And, well, you don't have to, but it's a mentality I have. I remember one day, not to get off on another story, but I was talking to my friend. He was in his donut shop, and somebody told him, one of his employees said something, and they was like, you need me. And he said, hey, before you came, I was making the donuts, I was selling the donuts, packing them up, I was doing everything by myself. You think if you quit, you think I can not go back to that? Or do you think, he's like, it doesn't matter. Either if you're here or not, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be all right. And I said, you know what? That's very true. That's kind of the attitude you need to have. It's like, I tell people, it doesn't matter if you don't want to work with me or not. Then that's not a big deal. But either way, I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like, either way, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed, and I'll get there with you or without you. It doesn't matter. So, you know, people get offended, or people act like, oh no, see, you need me. No, I don't need you, really, to be honest. You know, I mean, you don't need anybody, because you're gonna, if you set your mind to it and you keep going, it doesn't matter. It might take longer, but you'll still get there. You know what I mean? So people have this attitude of, oh, you need me, you need customers. I'll find customers. It might not be you, but I'll find them. They're out there. So, but yeah, don't get offended by the people hanging up. Don't get offended by fake email addresses, fake phone numbers. I mean, honestly, if people giving you fake email addresses, you don't want to work with them anyway. If they give you fake telephone numbers, then they're probably kind of childish anyway. You don't want to deal with all that shit, you know what I mean? And if you talking to somebody on the telephone, they hang up, or if people say no, then don't get offended. Don't get upset. It's not a big deal. It's more, as I used to tell guys, when we was in the Navy and people be sitting around boo-hooing. I mean, not boo. Yeah, they was boo-hooing. I'm not gonna lie. When I was in the Navy, we had a big problem because, of course, you know, you're in the military, you're like 18 or 19, and this is man or woman, whatever. But when you're in the military and you leave home, you think you got a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, you know, and then you get on the phone with them, or they call you up and they go, you know, dear John, I can't be with you no more. This is too much. And you know, you'll see the guy, like it was one guy, he was from Pittsburgh. I remember him. I can't remember his name, but I just remember he was on the payphone. Now I was in the Navy way back, so brace yourself, kids. They had payphones back then, so it was payphones outside. And I remember I was coming back from Bonds, the grocery store. It's a grocery store in California. But I was coming back. I was walking back, and I saw the guy, and I was in class with this guy. And he was just on the phone crying, and I heard him. He was like, why? You know, and then I remember I see him the next day, and I said, hey, buddy, you all right? I mean, I was like, I wasn't eavesdropping, but, you know, I saw you was kind of in pain. I said, girlfriend break up with you? He said, yeah. And I said, you know what, guy? I said, you know what, my guy? There's plenty of fish in the sea, man. And he said, and he's like, but I don't want no other fish. I want this. I said, but she don't want you, pal, so you got to do something about that. I mean, you know, you just had to get a certain, we're doing business, you just have to get a certain mentality, you know. I mean, it's like they say, you know, there's like billions and billions of people out there, so you'll find people to work with, you'll find people that buy from you. So you just have to dig deep and find those people, you know. You have to mine them out. So there's plenty of fish in the sea, boys and girls, okay? Yeah, that guy, he was crying. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not. I know we're talking business and everything, but man, that he was crying a lot. He was crying a lot. And the military is very interesting. I mean, life in general, when it comes to that kind of stuff, when you're young, I mean, not to get off on another subject, but when you're young and you're dating, and when you're young and when you're trying to be trying to start relationships, it's sort of like starting an online business, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really know what you're doing. Like, I had maybe one quote, and we can use the term loosely. I probably had like one quote girlfriend in high school, and that was like in between my freshman and sophomore year. So I really didn't have a lot of it. Well, I got a quote another girlfriend my senior year that last couple of months, but that didn't really count. But so my dating experience was very low. You know, I mean, some of you dating might have been high in high school, but I mean, it's all the same shit. We still don't know. No matter if you date 100 people in high school or you dated one person in high school, you still don't know shit. So dating for me from like 18, 19 was basically like starting an online business, you know? It's like, I don't know what to do. I know I want to do it. I know I wanted to date. I know I wanted to start an online business. I didn't know actually what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to start. But it just got going. And, you know, you take your bumps, you take your you take your licks, and you keep moving, you know? So that's sort of like online. It's like dating at the age of 18, 19, 20 is sort of like starting an online business, you know? Some of us come out the gate and meet our soulmates, I guess, if that's what you want to say. And some of us certainly do not. Some of us hit more bumps. Some of us, it takes longer, blah, 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 blah. All that good stuff. You see the correlation? I see the correlation. If you see the correlation, then we are definitely on the same page, my friend, because it was some it's a very laughable times when it comes to being 18, 19 and trying to date. I think about it every now and then. I'm so grateful that I'm married now. It's being married. It's for me. I like being married. I enjoy being married. I love it. It's very nice. It's very sweet. I like being with my wife. She's my best friend. But every now and then, and I tell her every now and then, I think about something, and I'm just like, jeez. I was like, I don't know. For me, dating, especially because I was in the military, and I was in the Navy, and I was young, it's very laughable. It's some very funny times. I'll tell you one time before we go. I remember, just like an online business, I thought I had a prospect, a top prospect. And you might fall into this trap, you might not. But like I told you before, like I told you last week, I think, don't fall into the thing where you think you got one or you got one potential customer or one potential whatever, and then you just get laser focused, because most of the time, if you just start focusing on one person, it as far as, the bit like, oh, they want to be an affiliate, I'm going to just focus in on them. Email them, text them, call them. They're like, hey, bud, I'm not that interested. Get the hell out of here. But anyway, I remember when I was in the Navy, and I met this girl, and she was nice. She was very lovely. I forget her name. But I remember I was like, and we was 2 weeks from going out. We had to be gone for like 2 months. We was going to be out to sea for 2 months, going on a drug operation. So I met this girl like a couple weeks before, and I remember it was right after Christmas, before New Year's. So, met, got a phone number and everything, blah, 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 blah. Talking on the phone, blah, 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 blah. She's, of course, as we all know, when we first meet somebody, you talk on the phone for like 6 hours because you don't know them. So it's just like, blah, 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 blah. You're so great. You're so wonderful. You're wonderful. Blah, blah, blah. So, we talked on New Year's Eve all night, basically, because I had duty or whatever. And, she was like, I'm going to write you so much, blah, 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 when you're gone. I want to do this and I'm going to do that. So I remember I was telling my buddy, the great Iggy, we used to call him Iggy. I was talking to Iggy, and I'm like, Iggy, I met the one. And he's like, what? And I'm like, here's her picture, my friend. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yes, she is the one. So this is my number one prospect, the only prospect, in my business. We'll use the word business, but not in the dating pool, So I'm like, this is it. This is my girl. And she was all gassing me up about, I'm going to write, I'm going to contact, I'm going to keep in touch. So we went out to sea. I'll cut this story short. We went out to sea. First week, she emailing me. I'm emailing her back. Because on the boat, when you leave the boat, when you go out to sea, they have a certain thing. They can only email like once a day. So they send the emails out once a day. So I would send her email. Then the next day, I would receive an email. So it was like that for the first week. Second week, things started to wane. Things started to, tail off. I could tell. I was like, uh-oh. What happened to my prospect? She's starting to flake out. So I remember I made one of the funniest things of my life. I said, you know what? I got to see what's going on, because back in them days they had phone cards. It was $20 a phone card, but you could only talk for 10 minutes because you was out in the middle of the ocean. So I paid my $20, got me a phone card, didn't call my mama. I called this girl, and for 9 minutes she just sort of sat on the phone while I basically did a podcast, because I was just talking and she was like, a lot of uh-huhs, and I was like, oh man, she ain't into nothing. And then of course, like 2 days later, I got a, dear John, I can no longer be with you. I can't do this any longer, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I laughed about it. I saw it coming, you know. So it wasn't that hard of a hit, but it reminded me, as I was talking about everything, that reminded me of the time that I focused on the one prospect, and that's why I tell you so. I'm not saying date 1,000 people, but in this instance, that's why you don't focus on one prospect. 99% of the time it doesn't work. Anyway, prospects and dating, everybody. It's not the same, but it's running neck and neck. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this podcast. I mean, I'm here to delve out information, but I'm also here to entertain the masses. Okay, everybody. So, we took a trip down Navy Lane. I got more. No, I don't have a lot of Navy stories. I'll be honest. I don't remember them times. You know, I moved on. I don't remember a lot. Maybe one day I'll share a prison story. I worked at a prison for a couple of years. That was pretty interesting. But anyway, it's been 20 minutes. But let's summarize what we talked about. Besides the comparing dating to starting an online business. Don't worry about fake emails. Don't worry about fake telephone numbers. If they give you fake emails and fake telephone numbers, you don't want to do business with them anyway. Let's be honest with each other, okay? Don't get offended. Don't get offended if people don't want to work with you. Don't get offended if people don't want to buy from you. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You just have to move on. You'll find people. Trust me. You'll find the audience. That's the one thing that a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, sometimes you have to. People will go, I can't do this. Who wants to hear from me? You don't know until you tell your story. You know what I mean. You don't know until you share it with the world. People will find you, and people will like you, and people will enjoy your podcast. They will enjoy your videos. They will enjoy everything that you do for the most part. You know, like everything's not going to be a home run. Every episode is not going to be a grand slam. Every video is not going to be whatever. But overall, it's like a director. You know, we all have directors and actors we like. Like I said before, I enjoy Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and Denzel Washington. Like, I'll give you a director like Spike Lee. I like Spike Lee. He seems like a great fella. Some of his movies, Some of his movies, I love. Some were okay, and some I thought that was absolute shit. But that's a matter of opinion, you know. I mean, overall, I like Spike Lee, you know. So, you know what I mean? Everybody's not gonna like everything that you do, but it's sort of like being president, you know. You are president of your own business. It's like being president of the United States. Some ideas you have, people are gonna like. Some ideas, people are not gonna like. But there's always gonna be people that like you in general, and people that want to follow you and they want to hear from you. So don't ever think to yourself, what do I have to say? You have plenty to say. You have a lot of life experiences. You have a lot of things that you can bring to the table. It's just a matter of you getting them out. All right. This was this is 20 minutes. These are kind of like the norm. I think Monday and Tuesday we go longer than the rest of the week, I think, but it doesn't matter. We got a lot of information in today. We'll be back tomorrow with another hard-hitting episode of the award-winning greatest podcast in the universe, with a pending name change, of course. Anyway, episode 97. It's a wrap. My name is Tony Rizzano. I believe this is episode 97. My name is Tony Rizzano. This is the Affiliate Party Podcast. And as always, everybody, peace.